The worst trade I made in this new account has been 𝗪𝗓𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, Red Cat drones, because I thought that the Pentagon, they approved like $1 billion spending, and the whole Ukraine war kind of changed how the war story works, and there's going to be a lot of investment in drones. Like that is actually true. That did not reflect in the stock price at all, and so I kind of held this down and all the way. That's what kind of made me round trip all the way down back to 35K.
What I was curious about is, I know you bought 𝗪𝗓𝗡 and then it went down a lot, but then you doubled down by buying 𝗪𝗓𝗡𝗧, which is the 2x leveraged 𝗪𝗓𝗡 stock. And I'm curious, did your thesis change or did your conviction level change in order for you to go from, just the base share of 𝗪𝗓𝗡 to the 2x leveraged?
I had never done any leverage ETM ever before, right? I try to stay away from those. And that was a rule I set. But, rules are meant to be changed. Right? Different market conditions, different styles, whatever is meant to be, played with. You got to experiment with yourself too. And so I did get successful with 𝗪𝗓𝗡, which was a 2x version of Palo Alto Networks, right? And that went well because of earnings and whatever like that. So I was like, maybe 2x leverage things are worth playing with, right? If you have extremely high conviction. And with the Red Cat play, I thought like I could catch the bounce. And with a 2x levered play, you only have to bounce halfway there in order to make it all the way back. But again, the bounce never came, and I think my main takeaway there is, that was almost essentially going off full tilt.
And so the mental kind of stop loss was 35K because you didn't want to go probably beneath
That is fair.
the original.
That is fair. Yeah, I don't do real stop losses like systematically, right? But I do have mental stop losses, right? If something's down 20%, 30%, and the chart just looks absolutely ugly, then there's that.
I'm curious how your membership fees changed from, taking it 35K to 100K. Like how many members did you have paying you $200 a month? And then how did that change after you were incorrect about the 𝗪𝗓𝗡 and 𝗪𝗓𝗡𝗧 thesis?
The analytics behind extra subscriptions are actually very light. There's not that much information about churn rate and who's canceled and when they cancel, whatever, right? So,
but the gross number.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it dip down. I'm not sure if it was related to the 𝗪𝗓𝗡 play or just like, they subscribed for 1 month, they want to see what was behind the content, they liked it or didn't like it, and then they churned. Like, I think similar to me, like a lot of times you sign up for a subscription, right? Yeah. And the first thing you do is just go cancel, right? So I'm not sure if it's related to the play itself or they just wanted to try for a month.
What's funny to me is like, technically speaking, you did bring it back up to 50 or 55 is where you're at right now. Who's to say where you'll be in a week or 2 weeks or a month? Who's to say? But the funny thing is, you bring it up and then everyone starts subscribing. And I imagine like the gross amount of subscribers that you had went down, right? After 𝗪𝗓𝗡 and 𝗪𝗓𝗡𝗧, like once you were incorrect about that thesis, then people unsubscribed and stopped paying you. But then probably as you're going back up again, then people are like resubscribing. But they don't have the foresight to look over a long period of time. And this is not my endorsement into you as an investor. I'm just saying, like, technically speaking, if you do look at the data over a long period of time, you have been correct more than you've been wrong.
Yes.
And it's funny how it just kind of like there is a clear correlation between how you're doing and how you're not doing, like in a small window of time.
Well, that's investors across.
Exactly. It's just funny. Yeah.
And I share
buying in the hype and selling the fear, always.
I share this message with every new subscriber. I highly endorse independent thinking, right? I share my thesis. It's up to you to decide whether you like it or not, right? And for the 𝗪𝗓𝗡 one, a lot of people disagree with me, and I noticed that. A lot of people did not enter to play with me because it was a fairly weak thesis, like looking back on it, right? And so I'm happy that, a lot of people skipped
Do you think that
one.
you felt pressured to go big, to like prove yourself again in that trade?
Yes, there was another lesson I posted about recently, which was don't force a trade.
Yeah.
Right? I think because of whatever was happening at that time, right? I was like, let me find another trade. And like the thesis just wasn't strong enough. And so it's actually funny because even like last week, when the market was down a little bit, I'm like, should I like swing again? I'm like, no. Like just cool down, right? If you're like trying to force it, if your thesis is not strong enough, just like cool down. It's fine. You can even stay in cash for a little bit until you feel like you understand the market. And so a lot of lessons,
Who do you think is the best investor alive right now?
There's a clear answer for that, actually. It's Leopold Aschenbrenner. Right, the ex-OpenAI guy that started his situational awareness fund and invested in all these picks and shovels, right? Like he's, I think, up to like $20 billion in AUM, which is from like a 2-year track record, by the way, right? This is equal to Bill Ackman's Pershing Square that he's developed over 20 years, right? And this guy, because he wrote this early thesis on the AI infrastructure build out, invested in all the picks and shovels along the way. Now that's why he's up to like 20 billion now.
Doesn't that concern you though? Because Cathie Wood had a similar upswing 2020, 2021.
Yeah. I mean, I think the game changes at different scales, right? Like, I think he knows this industry well. There's obviously, this is the right timing for that, but who knows what wave happens in the future, right? That he or may or not benefit from. And also, honestly speaking, like all these hedge fund managers, at a certain point, you're like, trying to increase your AUM because you can kind of bank the fees, right? You're not necessarily in it for the gains themselves.
That's an interesting point. That
Yeah.
they're probably not so focused on taking risk that could on average yield them 40% if that means they have some years where it goes down 10.
That is my critique of that quote that like hedge fund managers statistically don't beat SPY. Because I think most managers are playing a different game, right? You're playing a game of delivering good reports to their bosses. You're playing a game of like, I better make sure I don't lose money so that, my LPs don't exit, right? And they're playing a game of like, hey, we developed, we doubled this year, give us more money, right? Versus if you're playing with your own money, you're actually really invested in concentrating these bets and thinking deeply about your own net worth and stuff.
It's easier to sell a product that guarantees, positive return, even if the positive return is like 3 to 5%, than it is to sell something that could have negative 10% one year, but up 40% and like that volatility because people don't have the stomachs
The
for
dirty
that.
secret on Wall Street is most people just want to make that 1 year claim to fame, right? Start their own fund and then just coast for the rest of their life.
What are your thoughts on Chris Camillo?
Love Chris. Yeah, I watched the podcast with you guys. He was on another live stream with 𝗪𝗧𝗡 and Wolf recently, talking about AI agentic trading. I think he's the GOAT.
We asked him what he thought about you, and he said, I actually don't know much about him and can't remember why I started following him, but there must be a reason. Since he is a course guy that likely regularly shares trade ideas with traders who will pour money into each of them, I'd ask the question about exactly what parameters he puts in place to ensure that he's not profiting off of the trading flow of his subscribers. How many days minimum does he wait before exiting a published buy trade? Does he fully disclose his exits? By Kevin Hsu's own words in his article, Embracing Degeneracy, he seems to be the byproduct of right time, right place, luck fueled by a methodology that is highly concentrated. Feels like he is better than an average investor who spends time researching and taking concentrated bets that have worked out, but most of this appears to have been fueled by a bull market. So not necessarily a genius investor with a meaningfully differentiated strategy as much as a bold investor who is benefiting from simply bringing aggressive, long, and concentrated in high-risk growth equities. It's a relatable story as most anyone can replicate that success to some extent. What do you say to that?
Thank you. I think that's a fairly accurate critique. I am very bold because I like big rewards. Like small rewards don't excite me that much, right? It's not worth the time and effort. And there's definitely a huge degree of luck, right? Like I'm doing this in these bull markets, right? But the reason I post on X and try to get engaged in bait is because I'm trying to. I think you need to put yourself in positions of luck too, right? I think a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people are very conservative. They can't deal with any money loss at all. Like I know people with millions in cash, and they've been in cash for the last 5 years, right? I'm like, what are you doing? At least put it in a SPY. You're like, oh, but I could be buying the top or et cetera. I don't get it. I'm just like, I think you need to put yourself in positions to become lucky, right? And also just like minimize your loss. Right. And that stuff. In terms of like the course guy, it's funny. I don't have a course. I don't have a Discord. I don't have any of that stuff. Right. I told you the story of X subscriptions and people, and I'm very thankful and people enjoy my kind of like more longer form rambling thoughts. Right. Because like on X, you have to kind of be more polished and, it's got to be tight and concise to go viral, et cetera, versus my sub only post, like kind of go more long form in terms of like what I'm thinking about, et cetera, et cetera. And I take that duty very importantly, right? And so I do have some guardrails I set for myself, right? I never touch a company like less than $1 billion market cap. I never sell same day. I mean, that's generally just because I want to see the thesis play out, right? And so I don't really have like a strict time, like I must hold for this amount of time, right? But if you actually do look at my track record, I never sold a stock like within 3 days. Right? Like I want to see the thesis kind of play out. And I'm very upfront with folks that like I might trade at a whim's notice, right? I add that disclaimer. I even give a heads up that like, hey, look, I'm looking, the market's looking weak today. I'm not liking this. I might exit in like the next few hours or something like that, right? And so like I'm not front running anybody.
Now, really quick, every business is asking themselves the same question: how do we make AI work for us? The possibilities are limitless, but guessing is too risky, and sitting on the sidelines is not an option, because one thing is certain: if you're not doing it, your competitors are already making their move.
And that's where our sponsor NetSuite by Oracle comes in. It's the #1 AI cloud ERP, trusted by over 43,000 businesses to manage everything from financials and inventory to commerce, HR, and CRM, all in one unified system.
When all of your data is in one place, your AI becomes a lot smarter. It doesn't just guess. It knows. NetSuite intelligently automates routine tasks, delivers real-time insights, and helps you make fast, confident decisions that actually help drive growth.
And it's not just an add-on, it's AI that's literally built right into the system that runs your business, helping you cut costs, improve accuracy, and stay ahead of the competition.
Whether your company is making millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite gives you visibility and control to keep moving forward. Honestly, if I were building a business of this size, NetSuite's the only company that I have 100% confidence in.
So if your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, get our completely free business guide, Demystifying AI, at netsuite.com/clips.
Again, the guide is free for you at netsuite.com/clips, netsuite.com/clips, with the link down below in the description.